Take just 20 seconds to become a business revolutionary by sharing a fan bragging story of great customer service by using the hashtag FanBrag or calling the Fan Bragging hotline at 855-FAN-BRAG, FANBRAG. Now back to Angel and Eric, the Experience Pros.
Welcome back to the Experience Pros Radio Show. We are empowering you to build your brand. I want to talk a little bit about your brand for just a minute. You know, when you're talking about building a brand, there's a lot to consider.
You bet.
If you think about it, choosing your own business name, the logo, the brand slogan, all of that, a painstaking process. The choices you make today could and will define your brand for decades. And if all goes well, maybe even for centuries.
For centuries.
Think about that for a minute.
I don't think centuries. I don't think anybody's brand is going to last.
That's what the people who started Ford said.
Okay.
All right. So in the eyes of the public, your trademark is your brand, and it's important to plan in advance to take steps to protect your intellectual assets. And Melissa Thompson wrote an article in Inc.com that talks about some critical steps to maintain or protect your business trademark. Your intellectual property is, at the end of the day, probably the only thing that you really have that you can wrap up and say, that's mine.
Okay.
Your intellectual property.
For the most part, you hope you can.
Right. You got to be wise.
I hope that other people aren't saying that about your intellectual property as well.
So we have here at Experience Pros, we have 2 federally registered trademarks. The first one is fan bragging, right? Fan bragging, the idea of saying something nice about somebody else in advance without any expectation of response or reply. Fan bragging, the idea of being kind in business, we thought was revolutionary enough and, to be honest with you, catchy enough. I mean, memorable, right?
Right.
Fan bragging.
Right.
To go through the process of hiring a lawyer and doing the due diligence and finding out whether or not it's original or not, and then paying the price and waiting for 2 years to get your registered trademark.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I think you have to. Number 1, be original. If your business name is unlike anything else on the market, it's easier to defend and also easier for your customers to distinguish. If you name your business, say, pizza delivery, every pizza place will have those words on their website.
Okay.
You got to be careful there.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Because it's kind of already, you can't actually trademark existing phrases.
Existing phrases or actions or concepts. Concepts are difficult to trademark. Joseph Mandor, who's a managing partner and intellectual property attorney with Mandor and Associates, he stresses the importance of choosing a unique trademark. He says you want your trademark to be memorable, and from a legal standpoint, distinctive names are ideal. Generic and descriptive names, especially in a global market, are harder to defend. So we had to handle that. Our second trademark is Experience Pros.
Right. And not just the name, but the logo. And you've got to trademark them separately. Again, Eric, ain't nobody got time for this.
Well, let's put it this way. If you don't, let's talk about what could happen if we didn't trademark fan bragging. Okay. There could be someone who says, wow, what a great concept. Use a radio platform to encourage people to tell stories of great service. And instead of fan bragging, we're going to call it something like Ramwagon or something like that, right?
Ramwagon, and we're going to ram their brand.
Yeah, something like that.
Right, which is like the opposite of what we do, maybe.
Now, if you think that's a far-fetched concept or idea, let me just tell you, it happened. It happened with a friend. And a friend came on the radio show and decided, I love this concept, had their own radio show, and decided, I will use this.
We'll use it word for word, verbatim.
Use the word fan bragging. And what happened in the end of that? He said, well, I used it once and nobody said anything. So I figured it's mine.
Yeah, I think it was. I give you credit once, and then after that, it's mine. Except that we owned the trademark on it.
Except that we own the trademark.
Yeah,
so, and
I do remember that.
And we retain the friendship by simply picking up the phone and saying, hey, listen, I know what you're trying to do, and I'm grateful that you find this to be an attractive thing, but you got to change it in a couple of significant ways because that is owned by us. And
we need to put a luggage tag on it. It's mine.
And we threw the luggage tag was the little circle R that went with it. And it was one of those things. He goes, oh my gosh, I didn't realize.
Well, and that's most of us. Most of us, we're taking copyright infringement. We're seeing what other people are doing. We like it. We do that for ourselves. If it worked for you, it'll work for me. But other people, it is their intellectual property. Other people do own it. It is copyright infringement, and just not knowing that is not going to keep you out of hot water.
Absolutely not. So once you've applied for the trademark, and your lawyer will go through and they will do a check. See, you can be clear in the state, but you could have problems in the nation. So you have to be careful that even though nobody in your state is using it, and you can go to your state Secretary of State and do a search for yourself, see if anybody else is using it. You might discover that somebody else is using it in another state. Your state is local. It's not able to enforce trademark federally.
I think that is something, again, people, and they're only checking locally, or they're only thinking about, I don't know anybody locally, and not even locally, but then nationally, and then internationally is a whole nother world, another thing to do.
For example, let me give you an example of things that you and we do and say on a regular basis that are in direct violation of trademark.
Okay.
When was the last time you Googled something?
Probably yesterday.
How often do you Google?
Every day.
Yeah. The process of Googling, saying the word Google as a verb, is against federal trademark law.
I can't say that.
You can't say that.
Can I sing happy birthday to you yet?
I don't think so.
I know I can't say Super Bowl either.
Right. So now you can use the trademark as an adjective, but never as a noun or a verb, according to Google. Right?
We can't use Google as a verb.
We've all been doing it wrong.
But we all Google.
Absolutely. So
wouldn't it be so cool if someday the name of your company was a verb?
Right.
And so, did you experience Prosit?
I EP'd today.
Right. We know you do. You do every day. But did you experience Prosit? Did you fan brag it? Right? Like if it was turned into...
This is why we've trademarked it, because we wanted it to be...
Right, to be a thing.
A thing.
You want it to be a thing. You want your brand to be a thing.
Now, once you have a trademark, by the way, these things are necessarily renewed every 10 years. And you must be aware of your 10-year anniversary, and you must renew it. Otherwise, you will lose your trademark, and then it becomes public domain. There are many companies who have done that and forgotten, and now their deal is public domain. You got to be careful there. It's important to police it.
Oops.
Yeah. Make sure that you know what's going on.
And if you if you ask Google to do a notification every time your brand is mentioned, that will help you stay on top of it as well.
It will help. And then, ideally what you should do is probably set your calendar for 10 years. You get your trademark.
10 years.
Tell your lawyer, I want you to put this date in your calendar. And on this date, I hereby authorize you to do another search and renew. Just because.
And do you renew your website domain? Do you put that on auto renew?
I put it on auto renew, and I put it on auto renew for 2 years at a time.
I think that's so smart, because we've also had friends and clients who have lost their domains because they didn't renew it. And somebody else, I don't know how it is that they know the time and the date and the hour and the minute, and they grab it like that.
They do. Yes. People are watching. What was it? We were looking for a domain the other day and found it. It's available for $10,000. $100,000 per year. Like, wow. I don't want to buy that.
I don't want to buy that.
All right, gang. There's your information on critical steps to protect and maintain your business trademark. Important stuff if you are, in fact, in business to build business. We will be back right after these messages. You're listening to Angel Tussie and Eric Raymer. We are empowering you to build and then keep your brand. Back after this.
You're listening to the Experience Pros Radio Show, America's home for positive business talk.
KDMT, Denver's Money Talk 1690 AM.